It has been a day now since UFC 279, and all I'm hearing people talk about is the fact that Khamzat Chimaev had an amazing performance against Kevin Holland, one of the most dominant performances in UFC history, didn't take a single punch, and annihilated Kevin Holland in one round with a submission. I'm hearing people talk about the fact that Nate Diaz, oh, what a legend, he retired on top, had a fairy tale ending against Tony Ferguson, what an amazing performance, getting the submission in round 4 with 2 minutes and 9 seconds on the clock. I'm not hearing enough people talk about the fact that Li Jingliang got robbed. And I'm not just talking about his fight against Daniel Rodriguez, which was, by the way, a robbery. I'm talking about the fact that this man requires justice. We need justice for Jingliang right now, okay? Because I was thinking about him after that event was over, okay? And it sort of soured my taste buds for the Chimaev versus Holland fight, for the Diaz versus Ferguson fight, and I wasn't able to enjoy those last 2 performances on the card the way I should have been able to because of the result of that Li Jingliang versus Daniel Rodriguez fight. Li Jingliang beat Daniel Rodriguez, but that's not the start of the robbery of Li Jingliang's dignity. It goes so much further back than this. It's not even this whole weekend. And I know people are going to talk about, oh, you didn't get to show off his suit. And that is a part of it. And people are going to talk about, oh, he fought a guy 10 pounds heavier than him when he shouldn't have had to do that. And that's not even the whole entire story either. We can go way back. This guy's been done dirty in his career. Khamzat Chimaev, we need you to jump into the top 15 of the welterweight division. Li Jingliang, he was the first guy to welcome Khamzat Chimaev into the rankings. If he didn't do that, we wouldn't even have Khamzat Chimaev where he's at in the division right now. Maybe, a Neil Magny would have done it, but at the end of the day, Li Jingliang was the sacrificial lamb they used to test how good Khamzat Chimaev really was and jump him way up the rankings and justify a fight with a top contender in Gilbert Burns. That kick-started Khamzat Chimaev's career, and Li Jingliang was the sacrificial lamb that they used. What does he get as a reward for doing that for the company of the UFC? What does Li Jingliang get? He's been the sacrificial lamb. He's risked his ranking spot by taking on a guy like Khamzat Chimaev who's so dangerous. What do the UFC give him as a reward? Oh, by the way, Li Jingliang, here's Muslim Salikov, another monster with a V at the end of his name who used to live on a cliff. Is all I'm going to say about Salikov. A little bit older, I understand. He was a favourite at the time, but I picked Li Jingliang to win that fight by KO. And I was right to do that as an underdog. But that was his big reward. Oh, you're coming off a loss? You've just been embarrassed by Khamzat Chimaev, and we used you to move him up the rankings? Here's Muslim Salikov, a guy on a massive win streak, has a great record. I believe he was 18-2 at the time, and he was looking good, and he was a dangerous guy, and they just give him to Li Jingliang, despite Li Jingliang coming off a loss and Muslim Salikov being on a winning streak. He beats Muslim Salikov. Then he gets teased with an amazing deal. Here's Tony Ferguson, who, by the way, after his performance against Nate Diaz, let's be real, would have been annihilated by Li Jingliang, the same Li Jingliang that showed up against Daniel Rodriguez and beat him by decision. He gets a great deal. Here's Tony Ferguson at 170. Destroy him. Here's your big reward. And through no fault of his own, the same man who wouldn't even exist in the rankings unless he gave him the chance to, in Khamzat Chimaev, by accepting that fight in the first place, the same man who ruined his hopes originally after his big win against Santiago Ponzinibbio by going out there and ragdolling him and embarrassing him in front of everyone, is the same man who messes up his entire life after that now. This is the chain reaction. Chimaev misses weight, everyone suffers. Other than Chimaev, it seems. Other than Nate Diaz, because he gets an easier matchup, and all of the big names at the top are nice and okay. Whereas Li Jingliang, the unsung hero of the card, fights a guy with a 10-pound weight advantage. But you can't commission Chimaev versus Diaz? That was the storyline with the promo. He missed by 8 pounds. Or 7 pounds, right? Because it's 171. It's not a championship bout. But either way, he missed by 7 pounds of weight. Nate Diaz, you can't license that fight between them now. But you can license Li Jingliang versus D-Rod with a 10-pound weight difference. So that happens. Now Chimaev's fighting Kevin Holland. Real convenient for him. Nice matchup for him. He destroys Kevin Holland. And then you do Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. Real convenient for Nate Diaz compared to fighting a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, who would have destroyed him. So they're nice and taken care of. But the one guy who gets the shortest end of any stick ever is Li Jingliang. Oh, by the way, dude, Chimaev and Holland got your press conference cancelled. Over nothing, by the way. I've seen the backstage footage. Over nothing. A little scuffle and a thrown water bottle, and the whole thing's over. So your big moment, Li Jingliang, that you bought a suit for and spent your money on, is now gone. You don't get to show off your suit at the press conference. You don't get to be involved in the big fight that you were going to have against Tony Ferguson that was going to put your name on the map with a winnable matchup for yourself. You now have to take on Daniel Rodriguez, who's a very good fighter in the welterweight division as well. Arguably should be undefeated, 18-0, going into that matchup against Li Jingliang. He was 16-2, but the two losses were him getting robbed by Nicholas Dalby and him being robbed on the regional scene again by split decision. He should have been an undefeated 18-0 up-and-coming contender. So now you get that guy instead, and you just have to say yes. Otherwise, you're not getting paid, and you're spending time away from your family in China as well. Staying in America after your win against Muslim Salikov, not seeing your kids. I watched his interview with Ariel Helwani beforehand. Hasn't seen his kids in ages. He's staying in America to make sure he can get the paycheck and get that massive fight against Tony Ferguson. That gets taken away from him. Now he's fighting D-Rod. And then on top of everything else, he's got a 10-pound weight advantage. And you beat him in such a good performance by decision. And I've watched the fight back. It was such a good performance. I had it 30-27 Li Jingliang. I don't mind the idea of maybe giving round 2 to Daniel Rodriguez. I don't mind the idea of that. But Li Jingliang took him down at the end and landed the bigger shots, so I gave round 2 to Li Jingliang. There is no argument for who won. There's argument if D-Rod won a round of that fight. Li Jingliang won rounds 1 and 3 clearly in that contest. And people are going to talk about the jabs of Kevin Holland and all this and all that. Oh, the jabs though, look at the numbers. The jabs that Kevin Holland will land, not Kevin Holland, the jabs that D-Rod was landing, were partial jabs. Barely touching the face of Li Jingliang. He was rolling out the way of the vast majority of them, making D-Rod miss so much. D-Rod barely landed with a real effective punch the entire fight long, and yet he somehow got it done on volume. We've changed the rule set away from that. And these judges still aren't getting it. And nothing will be done to the judges, but Li Jingliang, after being robbed of this matchup and robbed of this fight, his entire career has now been changed. We need justice for him moving forward. He needs to be treated by the UFC like he's won that fight against D-Rod. Because people are going to talk about, oh, what if they give him his win money backstage? It's not about that. He's 30. These guys fight for glory. They take these risks for the glory of it, you know what I mean? If he was fighting for money, he wouldn't be taking these massive gambles against D-Rod. You know what I mean? 10 pounds heavier. He's 34 years of age, coming to the end of his career, in his prime time right now, and I don't know how much longer that's going to last. He's going to be 35 in March. Right now, if everything was to go to plan, first of all, Li Jingliang would be coming off a massive KO win against Tony Ferguson, and he would be fighting a top 10 contender in the welterweight division. If he won that one, he'd be fighting a top 5 contender. And then who knows, maybe a title elimination bout from there. Maybe something else happens, he gets a massive name matchup, and he's in a massive position on a card somewhere. But no. Li Jingliang Doesn't get the Ferguson bout, but if he beat D-Rod, again he'd be looking for a top 10 contender to move forward in his career. 34 years of age, Li Jingliang, looking for a top 10 contender that's going to earn him a title elimination bout in the welterweight division. That's what should happen right now. Instead, he's now, and this is the difference a single judging call can make. Now we describe Li Jingliang, if we're going to use everything that's said on paper, Li Jingliang, and I haven't seen the ranking change yet, but I'm going to make assumptions, is an unranked 34-year-old welterweight contender who's coming off a loss and needs to rebuild himself in order to get a top 10 opponent. One judging call. He doesn't have time to do that. And he saved the card, and everyone thought, oh, like, thank God for Ferguson and Diaz being the savages that they are. They got an easier deal. They were blessed by the change. Nate Diaz would have got absolutely ragdolled by Khamzat Chimaev. Li Jingliang would have sent Ferguson to the shadow realm. That Ferguson that showed up, come on. That would have been an easy win for Li Jingliang that showed up against D-Rod. Khamzat Chimaev gets a good matchup for himself. Kevin Holland gets, I'm pretty sure, paid bank behind the scenes to take that fight against Khamzat Chimaev. And that's the fight that he wanted anyway. And he gets a chance, instead of against an unranked D-Rod, he gets a shot against the number 2 guy in the world in the welterweight division whilst being unranked. And Li Jingliang gets an unranked 10 pounds heavier guy in D-Rod. And he gets robbed. He got shafted by everything. Every step of the way of his career recently, he just can't catch a break. We need justice for Li Jingliang. And I would say, main event of a fight night in China. Get it done. Like, genuinely get it done. Vicente Luque was the opponent I had in mind for Li Jingliang if he were to be victorious against Daniel Rodriguez. And I still say you do that matchup anyway. Luque's fought in China. He has a win in China against Derek Krantz in the co-main event of a fight night when Weili Zhang fought for a belt over there. I say we make Luque versus Jingliang a main event of a Chinese card. Maybe a co-main event or something like that. But we need to benefit Jingliang for something here. Because he's been done so dirty. He has been done unbelievably badly by the UFC. Or not even the UFC. The UFC... the other fighters in his division, being the guy that's savage enough to accept certain matchups. Like, he needs a reward. And honestly, Luque's number 10 coming off a loss. Li Jingliang's currently ranked number 14. At worst, he's going to move down to number 16 because I think D-Rod is number 16 right now. So, let's do Luque versus Jingliang. He needs another chance at a top 10 guy or a high-ranked guy. We can't treat him like a normal guy coming off a loss. I'm sick of just seeing... oh, yeah, it was a robbery, says Dana White. Well, then fucking do something about it, man. I'm sitting here reading donos, reading jokes in my chat from people in my chat just joking about stuff, and I'm laughing and looking back at the fight, and I can clearly see who's won. And these judges are the only people that don't fucking get it nowadays. Everyone seems to know who's winning and losing these fights, other than the judges. I don't get it, man. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. I just needed to vent my frustration there. That really annoyed me. So, I don't know how fucking Twitter works, but hashtag it up. Justice for Jingliang. Put it in their comments of their Instagram posts. Don't let this just slide away. This massive injustice. Justice for Jingliang. See you later.